my voice. Really briefly here, I just want to say that some people might feel insulted by some of the things I said in this playlist. Okay, I want you to keep in mind that when you don't discuss things openly and fairly, it creates certain tensions, right? This is why internet censorship is a bad idea. This is why shunning people is a bad idea. So let's say the followers of El, feel like they're being treated unfairly. They don't know that the government has followers of El too and Baal and all these different satanic deities. And so I'm not trying to offend anybody. I'm just calling it how I see it here to keep it very simple. And I believe these are universal truths, and I believe I've proven that. Okay, so if we were to discuss these things and people were to treat me a certain way, I'd be more diplomatic. But because of the circumstances of the situation, I have to say it this way. And if you've been paying close attention, I've actually been very diplomatic in the face of many insults. Okay, I believe one of these gentlemen from Stockton might have said the F word before the word God, and I could have went on and on and on and made all kinds of assumptions. Could have went on and on about I could have insulted him over and over again, but I didn't. I try to handle it very carefully here because I'm trying to be very diplomatic. I'm trying to consider the pain of the community in Stockton, and it does affect me deeply. I'll go as far as to say I have shed tears over this case, okay? I felt very emotional about this case. I was very moved by the father of Amari, and I'm interested to see the reactions from the other family members as well. From Journey, right, Susano, Maya. I'm interested in the community's response. I've been watching a lot of videos. Various gentlemen from various groups have made various videos. And so when I look at this, I want people to know I'm trying to make sure people understand my story as told by me without, people confusing things. I believe in moral repetition, right? Honoring God. So when we look at El, for example, when we look at the explanation, I'm not the only one who interprets things a certain way, for example. It is the logical and scholarly and scientific way to interpret it as, the Bible is written by Baal, right? The word Baal has the word El in it. So does Israel and Bethel. And you have Bethlehem in the Bible. You have both Bethel and Bethlehem. And there's other L's in there as well. And so the person who made this one video I've been watching recently about the origins of El, something to this effect, he pointed that out as well. He said that it bears the mark of El. That's how he put it, the mark of El. And he said that the God of the Bible is an amalgamation or combination of El and Yahweh, both pagan deities that were worshipped before the Torah was written. And by the Canaanites, who were notorious for homosexuality, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, the land of Canaan, Jordan, it's all connected. And yet the Phoenicians, right, and the Greek phoenix bird, and the Greeks were famous for homosexuality, so it connects these things. And some people have been led a certain way that I would argue was astray, to keep it very simple, to be diplomatic. I'm certain of my view, but I'm going to be very diplomatic in this video for the sake of helping you people understand that I'm doing God's work here. That's why I have to say things a certain way. This is not like a difference of, opinion on football or something like this. This is something that is extremely sacred and important, and it takes on cosmic proportions. Okay, there are people abused all over the world because they get these things wrong. There are religious fanatics. There's people who call themselves moderate, who are just pushovers. There's religious fanatics who work for moderate people in intelligence organizations. There's all kinds of things going on relative to this. The economy has everything to do with philosophy and religion and science. This is very important here. So again, if I have unfairly insulted anybody, then I apologize. If the family of Amari or any other group feels like, it's not my business or anything, and that's how they feel, I'm sorry that you feel that way. But I am who I say that I am, and I'm very concerned with how things are going. I'm very concerned that people are abusing each other, that they're not standing for a sound economy, they're being coerced, they're being terrorized, they're afraid to be uncontrolled opposition, they're just kind of going along. I'm very concerned and very heartbroken, and I'm very angry, and I'm very sad, but first and foremost, I deal in logic and facts. I have a duty to God, and I take that extremely seriously. I made over 16,000 videos in the last 16 years out of loyalty to God. I made a song when I was 16 years old, about 28 years ago. Out of loyalty to God, I threw in some information into that song. I have a long history of insisting that people are loyal to God. I'm not doing this for views per se, or fame, or money. Okay, it's cost me a lot of time and money. I've purchased like 10 cell phones or some ridiculous amount of cell phones as they keep hacking them and they keep using technology to mess up the microphones on them. I've gone through like 10 microphones on top of the 10 cell phones, like some number like this, a ridiculous number. I take my duty to God very seriously. And for those of you who think it's crazy to make all these videos and to not go viral or something, think about Buddhist monks and Catholic monks. They take their duties seriously, in popular culture at least, right? And they keep doing what they're doing even though no one sees them. And even though religion is like best applied by discussing with people and spreading the message, they're still somewhere in a remote place worshiping the way they worship. So I can't stress this enough. I'm very disheartened that society won't come together and come up with sound arguments to debate gang members. Look at my description. I'm going to show you a bunch of solutions that I offer here in the description. Also on this channel, I believe I have a playlist where it's dedicated to my plans, where I tell you most of my plans: the war on poverty plan, the region argument, the oversight plan, 10% redistribution plan, okay, the global farming plan, healthcare analysis plan, startup company plan, other plans as well. Very sound plans. The rich will still be rich. So many problems in the world would be solved. So many people would feel so much better, so much better. It's very hurtful that people just want to hurt each other and they want to be terrorized by the state, so to speak, or they're allowing themselves to be terrorized by the state. It's very disconcerting, very painful. And I'm fumed and I'm poisoned. I can't feel as deeply as I used to feel. I used to be a very, very, very sensitive person, far more than I am right now. Far more. Okay, I used to spend some time yelling at the top of my lungs in the middle of nowhere, making sure no one's around, and I start screaming about how angry I am because people are suffering, because people are being raped and killed, and people won't do anything about it. I have hundreds, if not thousands, of videos where I'm yelling in the videos. I take these things very seriously. I'm not a bully. I'm very approachable, very sincere, very gentle, very considerate, very caring. I take these things so seriously, there's no words to describe it.